Hey everybody, welcome to the Learning Podcast, making it to and through nursing school. I'm your host, and this is a morning motivation episode. Today is Wednesday, January 29th, and it is time to get motivated. Today's quote, I love this, is be like a postage stamp, stick to one thing until you get there. That's a quote by Josh Billings. Again, that's a be like a postage stamp, stick to one thing until you get there. If you didn't catch my episode last week on how to not get overwhelmed, I highly recommend listening to that because it kind of ties into this. Now, clearly, whoever said this quote or wrote this quote kind of means this as a long-term thing, but it really applies to kind of what we do in nursing school, and that is that we need to learn how to focus on the task at hand and not the 50,000 things that we need to do going forward in order to, to not get overwhelmed, right? Like I said in the previous episode last week, how to not get overwhelmed. That was kind of the main trick of it, right? We need to constantly reinforce this in our minds, because if we don't now, then we're never going to break that kind of way of thinking. Now, think about this. It's important now in nursing school to really get through without having a complete mental breakdown, to really understand that you need to stick to one thing until it's finished. But I want you to think for a second about patient care. I want you to think about after you're already a nurse and you have 4, 5, or more patients. You're going to work in a skilled nursing facility or something like that. You're going to have 18 to 20 patients. If you're going to work in an assisted living facility, you have half the damn building, right? You might have the whole building, right, to yourself, and you're the only nurse that's on staff, right? So if you're in with a patient and you are thinking about all the other things that you have to do with all of the other patients, that might be acceptable for some of the time, but generally it's not acceptable to do that. So it's really important to get in that habit, again, not just for your mental health now, but you could be putting people at risk if you're literally thinking about other things while you're trying to do certain things. A lot of things, this is kind of not, it is, but it's not applicable to a beginner nurse because as a beginner nurse, you're going to be kind of freaked out that all of a sudden you have all this responsibility, right? And it's your license on the line. It's people's lives that are on the line. But really, to prevent complacency in anything, because obviously after a while, things become second nature, and you might make a little mistake that for months or for years or for the 10,000 times you've done it in the past, it's never caused anybody any harm. But eventually it will, right? You could you could possibly make the argument that, I broke sterile field while I was doing this fully, and nothing happened to that patient. Let's say you were in a hurry, you kind of broke the sterile field, but nobody was watching. You weren't having a good day and you were just really tired and you just really wanted to get out of there really quickly, but nothing ever ended up happening. That patient didn't even get a UTI at all, right? So the more you let that slip, the more in the future you're going to let that happen. And then it's going to be easier for this kind of way of thinking that I'm trying to talk about right now to kind of invade your mind, which is all of the other things that you have to do. Even if it's with that same patient, right? You have to focus on the task at hand until it's complete. Now for your sanity, and in the future for the safety of the people that you're going to take care of. And because I don't know about you, but I have definitely been in a room with a patient in my profession, not as a nurse quite yet at the time of recording this, but I have totally had my mind on something else, and I was doing my job, and the patient was saying something, and I wasn't fully paying any attention to it. I don't know what they said. And if I was going to ask them to repeat it, there's been times where I have, but there's also been times where I just haven't, because it's complete silence and it's me and this other person in this room, and they're speaking very, very clearly and they're looking directly at me and I'm looking directly at them, but I am just focused on all the other things that I have to do. So I didn't really pay close attention. I didn't hear what they had to say. So this whole little thing now has little consequences of you being stressed out all the time because you have all the other things that you have to do instead of focusing on the thing that you're supposed to do right now. But in the future, it's going to have more severe consequence the further you go along. So keep that in mind. Maybe let's break that habit now. But if you don't want to think about it, that you don't want to focus on that, just realize that life will be a lot easier if you are doing your little to-do list from your weekly planner. Okay, again, episode last week if you missed that. But if you use a weekly planner and you didn't listen to the episode, whatever, right? When you cross something off that list, it's satisfying, right? You should probably be present in the moment when you are working on said item, because if you don't, you're probably not going to do very good. And if you do very good on it, you won't get anything out of it if you were spending the whole time worrying about it, right? So that's all I really have for that. Thanks for getting motivated with the Earn It podcast. Go out there and earn it today. If you enjoy this podcast, please follow and please share with other people. We need more people listening to this. Hopefully if this can help, go out to 500 people, but only help one day in their entire kind of journey. It's really what I live for. In the description of this podcast, you will find a link. That link is a Google form. If you want to be on the podcast, go ahead and fill that out. We'll have a discussion. It can be completely anonymous. Nobody needs to know who you are. Nobody knows who I am. So why would they know who you are? Again, thank you so much for listening, and go out there and earn it.